Welcome to Whiteboard Wednesday. On today's video, I'm going to share with you how to swim backstroke with perfect technique. And in this video, I'm going to break down the fundamentals of the stroke, everything from body position, the way you pull in backstroke, how you should kick, how you can develop your underwaters, and make sure you watch to the end of the video because I'm going to be sharing with you a few drills that can apply some of these techniques. Now this video is really designed for not only beginners, but more advanced swimmers who are looking to take their backstroke to the next level. So if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Faris Abedi. I'm the co-founder and CEO of MySwimPro, and we help swimmers all over the world swim faster and smarter than ever before with training and technique tips both in and out of the water. So if you guys are new, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let me know in the comments who your favorite backstroker is. Now before we talk about the body position, I quickly want to talk about a few of the differences between backstroke and some of the other strokes. You know, some people are really comfortable on their backs and others, like myself, feel like they're drowning and they have no idea how to keep their body afloat. And there's a few reasons for that. First of all, swimming backstroke, like freestyle, it's a long axis stroke, meaning if you took a laser and just divided your body through the middle, you're actually rotating side to side across that rotational axis that cuts through the middle of your body. This is a lot different than breaststroke. Oftentimes breaststrokers are not as comfortable on their back and vice versa. So you also enter the water with your pinky finger first. Now that's a lot different than the other strokes, and there's a few other mechanics with backstroke that differentiate it from some of the other strokes. In addition to entering the water with your pinky finger first, you're also breathing the entire time. If you do it right, at least, you're on your back and your face should be pretty much dry the entire time. Now that doesn't mean you don't get water in your mouth and you have to, spit it out. But for the most part, you're on your back, you want to keep your head up, and that ties into our body position. So I have two diagrams on the board. If you look, one diagram has the swimmer's head in purple, and their head is completely out of the water. If anything, they're looking at their feet. They're looking at the view, they're looking at the flags at the wall, whoever's watching them, trying to take that selfie. And that's not good because when you lift your head up, then your legs are going to sink. And remember, water is 800 times more resistive than air. So if you want to swim fast backstroke or any stroke for that matter, you have to reduce the amount of drag that you have. If you look at this diagram, you can see just by lowering the legs and by lifting that head up, then the amount of drag that you're creating is just so much more. Then in this other diagram, the head position is flat. You should basically have the middle of your head is where the intersection of the water and the sky is, or the air, and you're looking straight up. You want your belly button, if you're trying to float, your belly button should be dry, and you want your entire body as high in the water as possible. That's only possible if your head is looking up. Your eyes are looking at the ceiling or the sky if you're swimming outside. Your legs are going to rise. And if you're just getting started and you can kind of almost forget about all these rotation things we're going to talk about, you just need to get your belly button dry. If you look at your feet, your butt is going to sink and you're going to swim really, really slow and you're going to get tired really, really fast. If you swim with fins, you can actually amplify this bad behavior and these poor techniques because the fins will allow you to let your legs sink and you won't really notice just how much your legs are actually dragging. So you want to reduce the amount of resistance you have. A great drill, bonus drill for you guys, is to try swimming with a cup on your forehead. Just fill it with water. If you want to be fancy, fill it with chocolate milk and sort of one-up Katie Ledecky, but swim with a backstroke with a cup on your head and you should have your eyes focus on the ceiling or the sky and that'll set up your body. If you don't get this right, everything else we talk about doesn't really work. You've got to have the right body position. Now, once you've got the right body position, let's talk about the pull. The hand entry and hand exit in backstroke is its own animal. So when you exit the water, you're actually exiting with your thumb first. So your arm should be completely straight and your thumb is leading the way. As you rotate and your arm is straight all the way through the recovery, you need your pinky to enter the water. So there's like this rotation that happens as your arm is straight. You want to point your fingers to the sky or to the ceiling. You should be able to look up at your hand and you make a 90-degree angle perpendicular. Your arm is to the water and to your body at this point right here. And you want to enter the water with your pinky first. The reason why you enter the water with your pinky first, because you're sort of on your side at that point. And once you enter the water with your pinky first, you're going to get into an early vertical forearm high elbow catch. So basically you want to hit the water with your pinky first, so that way you can initiate the catch when you're on your side. And if you were to just rotate your body over, it's just like a freestyle pull. So in freestyle, we enter the water with our fingertips first, and we initiate that early vertical forearm. We want to catch the water with not only our hand, but also our forearm. If you haven't checked out the Whiteboard Wednesday I did, how to swim freestyle with perfect technique, check it out. I overview the early vertical forearm as well. And so because you're on your side, that's why you have to enter the water with your pinky first. And then you want to pull all the way down, and you should actually be sort of on your side. You're not completely flat on your back. You're not completely on your side. You're a little bit closer to your back actually than on your side. And different schools of thought on how much you should rotate. That depends on your tempo and speed. But without getting too much into the weeds, you're basically on your side, and then you're going to follow all the way through, and you exit with your thumb. You want to avoid creating shoulder drag through the water, meaning if you don't rotate at all, then your shoulder is just going to drag through the water and create a lot of resistance. Instead, you want to have that rotation. So as your thumb is exiting, your whole arm is dry, including your shoulder, and you want your shoulders to be popping out of the water. All this while your eyes are looking at the sky or the ceiling. Your head needs to be back, or else your legs are going to sink. Let's talk about the kick. It's a flutter kick. Your toes are pointed, just like you do in freestyle and in dolphin kick. Breaststroke is the only kick where it's different, where you're doing a frog kick and your feet are flexed. You want to be pointing your toes. You want to be kicking with your hip flexors. You want your legs almost 100% straight. The amplitude, there's a little bit of knee bend, but the amplitude of your kick is actually about less than half a meter, 12 inches to 18 inches, less than half a meter. It really shouldn't be that big, and the core is generating all the power. It's your glutes, your hamstrings, your lower back. It's your hip flexors, not really your quads. You want your legs almost completely straight with a little bit of knee bend. You want to be short and fast. And if you want to increase your tempo in backstroke and you want to swim faster, you got to decrease the amplitude of your kick. It's not very good to have a huge, massive kick and your legs are just powering through the water. You're actually just creating more resistance than propulsion. So if you want to swim faster, have a smaller kick. It sounds kind of counterintuitive, but you want to increase the tempo. And if you can increase the tempo of your legs, your upper body, your arms are going to spin a little bit faster. You're going to be able to increase your tempo as well. When it comes to rotating, I did mention you're on your back, but you're on your side at the same time. There's the concept of hip-driven backstroke, kind of like you have hip-driven freestyle. In backstroke, it's actually not as much hip-driven. So you are driving with your hips, not to the extent that you are in freestyle. And the reason is because if you think about shoulder-driven backstroke, that's actually how you're going to be able to increase your tempo. Now, different swimmers will have different strengths. So some swimmers have a really strong kick and they can just really power that rotation. They can swim pretty fast without using their arms at all. And other swimmers have a terrible kick and their legs, they're lucky, you're lucky if your legs are just floating on top of the water in any capacity. If you're a swimmer like that, most likely you want to be thinking about shoulder-driven backstroke because that's how you're going to increase your tempo by popping those shoulders out of the water and getting the turnover in terms of the rate of which your arms are moving, getting it to move faster. If you focus too much on rotating side to side and you get your body all the way 90 degrees to each side, most likely you're not going to be able to have that much tempo and you're not going to benefit that much from getting the full catch. You don't need to be 100% on your side. We'll actually talk about a drill that you can really focus on both the rotation and the lack of rotation to have more of a shoulder-driven backstroke in just a minute. Underwaters, this is one of my favorite themes. So if you're not familiar, the underwaters is what you do on the backstroke start. Every time you push off the wall, it's really the fifth stroke in swimming. This is when you're in streamline and you look like a dolphin. You're creating this beautiful sine curve. And really this starts with your hands being in streamline, obviously. And pretty much you want to use your entire body. You want to kick up and down. I mentioned before when we're talking about the kick and flutter kick, similarly in dolphin kick, you want to be kicking in both directions. You have an up kick and a down kick. On one side, you have your lower back, glutes, and hamstring that you want to activate. And on the other side, the front of your core, your diaphragm, you obviously have your core, you have your hip flexors, and you have your quads. Both are super important. One side is more powerful than the other. But because they're both important, if you don't use both sides of your body, you're not going to swim as fast. You think about a fish, a dolphin, a shark. The reason why they can swim so fast is they're using their entire frame to move through the water and leveraging every inch and centimeter of that frame to move themselves forward. So it's really important to kick in both directions. Fun fact for you guys, the underwater rule didn't actually apply in swimming. You can only go 15 meters underwater. If you watch the Olympic Games, you'll see some of that from the best swimmers. In 1956, the 15-meter rule was added to breaststroke. It now has been removed. And then in 1988, it was moved to 10 meters for backstroke because some folks like Burkhoff and others were going so far underneath the water because it's so much faster going underneath the water than swimming, faster than freestyle even. In 1991, it was extended from 10 meters to 15 meters for backstroke. And until 1998, just over 20 years ago, the 15-meter rule was applied for butterfly and freestyle. So obviously, if you can master this, it can make up 60% of the race or more if you swim in a short course pool to go 15 meters underwater. So this is a really core skill to develop for not only backstroke, but all of your swimming if you want to be competitive and do pool competitions. Now, finally, let's talk about tempo. We mentioned it a little bit with the shoulder-driven backstroke. The reason why tempo is so important, if you're like me, when you're on your back and you're doing backstroke, you feel like you just can't get your arms going. It's really, really difficult, and that is the determining factor of how fast you swim backstroke. For myself, I struggle with this. A great drill that allows you to get your arm speed faster and really pop your shoulders out of the water is doing spin drill. This is where you basically pretend like you're sitting in a chair. You're gonna get your body really vertical. You're basically gonna break all the rules of body position. You wanna be closer to option B compared to option A. And you're gonna just spin your arms as fast as possible. And the goal is not to catch water. The goal is to teach your body and make that neuromuscular connection how to move your arms fast. What's gonna happen is you're gonna be a lot flatter. And because you're flatter, you're gonna be able to move your arms faster. And so this is a really high intensity drill. I love it. I always do some version of that if I'm prepping for like 100 IM. You're trying to get really fast in backstroke. You're not taking a lot of strokes in 100 IM backstroke, so you gotta have the tempo. And actually rotation and kicking can interfere with how fast you can move your arms. So we'll talk about a drill in just a second that really leverages this concept. But if you really kick a lot, and you try and rotate a lot, you're just gonna slow down your tempo. Doesn't mean it's not as efficient. Some of the best backstrokers in history, like an Aaron Pearsall, have an incredible rotational drive that's coming from their hips and legs. Unbelievable. They have fast tempo, but a lot of it really depends on the swimmer, the distance, and your training. But one thing is for sure, if you wanna move your arms faster, you've gotta train for your arms to move faster. Now let's get into these drills that I promised you. The first one, and each one has a different focus. The first one is dolphin kick and backstroke pull. This is working on power and tempo. So similar to the spin drill, where it's all about getting your arms to move fast, the way you do backstroke with a dolphin kick is you time one arm stroke per dolphin kick. It should be total body, it should be explosive, and if you do 25, maybe 50 meters of this with repetitions and rest, you're actually gonna train your body how to swim more powerfully through your pull. Now obviously when you go back to normal, you're gonna have no more bounce in your stroke, and that's fine. The goal was to teach your arms how to move faster and how to catch the water. Spin drill, don't even worry about catching the water, just spin your arms as fast as possible. Now the second drill is focused on sort of the opposite, the rotational concept. If you're not really good at rotating, if you swim really, really flat, especially if you're a beginner, oftentimes I see beginner backstrokers, they're actually not rotating enough. You're swimming completely flat. And just like freestyle, you don't swim completely flat. You need to have some level of rotation. And so when we're doing the single arm backstroke, it's actually two backstroke strokes on your right arm, 2 on your left arm, and then 2 full strokes together, actually 3 to get you back onto the other side. So the way this works is you're actually gonna focus on having one arm completely at your side. You're taking strokes with just the one arm, and you have to use your kick to drive the rotation. Because if you don't rotate, it's just not gonna work. You have to pretend and rotate to the extent that you have another arm pulling when in fact it's not. Using fins for this drill specifically is fantastic. I highly recommend using fins. If you're really fancy, you can do this drill without fins. You can even put a cup on your head. It's really gonna take some core engagement and driving that rotation with your feet. Now the final drill is really focusing on flattening your stroke. So a lot of more competitive swimmers, they actually rotate too much and it slows down their tempo. So if you're looking at flattening your stroke and really catching with a shallower pull, you do double arm backstroke. And when you do double arm backstroke, you're as the drill is described, both your thumbs come out at the same time, your arms are straight. As both your arms come out, don't let yourself sink. You're gonna really have to use your legs. And then you're gonna catch with your pinkies and enter the water at 11 and 1 right outside the shoulder. And you're gonna pull with as flat of a stroke as you can because you can't rotate because you're pulling both arms at the same time. Now, obviously, all of these drills are sort of exaggerations of what you should actually do. So when you do the double arm pull, when you do full backstroke, you shouldn't be that flat. You should have some rotation. When you're doing the drill like single arm backstroke and you're rotating pretty much 100% onto your right or your left, 90-degree rotation, that's not how you actually swim the full stroke. Similarly in freestyle, you never actually fully rotate 90 degrees onto your side, but sometimes you do drills just to work on the balance and stability and letting your core and legs drive that rotational momentum. So these are some great drills. If you're interested in more drills, make sure you check out the MySwimPro app. We have hundreds of drills, dryland training programs, swim training programs for beginners all the way through advanced swimmers, and the MySwimPro training algorithm will dynamically adapt the workouts for you so that they are personalized so that you can reach your goals. We also have a massive Facebook group. If you guys are not in this and you're looking to get faster and swim smarter and join a community of swimmers from all over the world, over 100 countries, thousands of swimmers, check out that group, linked in the description below. And final shout out, if you want any MySwimPro merchandise, if you want a t-shirt, hoodie, tank top, no pool, no excuses, swim cap, all that stuff. Make sure you check it out at the MySwimPro store, also available in the description of this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out the other videos on how to swim perfect, freestyle, butterfly, backstroke, or breaststroke. Wishing you the best and happy swimming.